Wes Malott, aka the Big Nasty, is now a PBA veteran who has won 10 PBA titles and during his prime was a real standout player on the tour. His best years in terms of titles came from the mid-2000s to the early 2010s. His last singles title win though came in 2013 and despite coming close after that, has not won another singles title since. So why is that? Did Malott manage to remain competitive during the last 13 years? And what is happening with him now? Those are all questions that I will be answering in today's video. I'll be diving into his career from the very start, looking at how he broke through, what he did in his prime, and where his career has taken him in recent years. This is what happened to Wes Malott. One fun little fact about how Malott bowls is where he looks during his approach. He will start by looking at the break point, but then bring his sight down towards the foul line. This is unusual because most players will keep one target during their approach. But onto his career now. We first saw Wes Malott compete on the tour in 2002 when he played just 7 events, taking home $9,500. From 2003, he would start to play a lot more, and his first real breakthrough was making his first ever telecast at the 2004 World Championship. He would lose out in a close match to Mika Koivuniemi. Despite losing, it was a great finish so early on in his career. 2005 would be the year that things really took off. He was making shows, lost in a title match to Tommy Jones at the Tulsa Championship, and would then get the breakthrough in November, winning his first title at the Mile High Classic. Just a couple of years into his pro career and he was performing really well, regularly making shows and showing that he had a lot to offer on the tour. 2006 was an even better year in some ways. He won another title at the Windy City Classic, beating Chris Barnes, but also finished runner-up twice in that year, losing in the title match to Tony Reyes and Tommy Jones once again. 2007 was an interesting year because he didn't win a title, but we saw him come very close as he was a regular feature on telecasts all year. He had a top 5 finish at the Medford Classic and World Championship, then lost in 3 title matches, including the 2007 US Open when he lost to Pete Weber. Despite not winning a title that year, he had now really established himself on tour, and it would only be a matter of time before he won more titles. The next title came in 2008 when he won the Medford Classic and then the Scorpion Championship in the same year. He also lost in a title match and had 7 other top 5 finishes. This was a sensational season and he probably should have won more than 2 titles, making that many shows. This was the season where Malott had absolutely established himself as one of the best on tour. He had just elevated his game year after year and then in 2008 took it to new heights. This dominance continued into 2009 and we have quite a lot to talk about in this year. He won 2 titles but also lost in 2 title matches, including the World Championship, and had 3 other top 5 finishes, which included the Tournament of Champions. He had not yet won a major but was definitely knocking on the door. The other notable thing we need to talk about in 2009 is the King of Bowling event. This was shown over 5 weeks and Malott was the one that everyone ended up trying to beat each week. This proved an impossible task though, as he was bowling lights out, winning all 5 of his matches and actually bowled 2 300 games along the way. This was one of the most amazing performances in PBA history, and he managed to defend his King of Bowling title from 2009 all the way through until 2018 when he defended it for the 8th consecutive time. He would finally lose his crown in 2020 though when he lost to Norm Duke. But let's move on from 09 and see what happened next. He was still making shows, but the titles did dry up. He won a doubles event in 2011 with Norm Duke, but would not win a singles title until 2013 when he won his first ever major, beating Jason Belmonte at the US Open. This broke a 4-year drought, and overall, 2013 was a big improvement compared to the previous couple of years. He won again at the 2013 Cheetah Championship and also had 2 second-place finishes, which included the 2013 USBC Masters. It's at this point that the singles titles at least would stop, although he was still competitive. It's just that things didn't quite go his way on TV. He went on to lose in the title match at the 2014 Tournament of Champions, the 2014 World Championship, and the 2016 Badger Open, and from 2015 to 2019, he had a number of other top 5 finishes. The only other title he won after the 2013 Cheetah was a doubles event, once again partnered with Norm Duke. So what happened? Well, the main answer is injuries. He had struggled with injuries over the years, particularly with his knee, but in 2019, the injuries would get worse and become more persistent. At the 2019 Wilmington Open, he had qualified in 4th, but was forced to withdraw due to a back injury. Before going on tour, he had worked for FedEx, unloading containers, and that is where he said his injury originates. He did say it had felt pretty good over the last few years, up until that point in 2019. Since that injury flared up, he didn't make another top 5 finish in a singles event, and the injury seemed to plague him for years after. He was suffering again from lower back pain, and it essentially meant he was forced to adapt his approach, which actually ended up giving him more loft on the ball. This would actually help him at the 2023 Tournament of Champions, as he would make the telecast, as the PBA had 17 players make the show that was held over 4 telecasts. Malott said himself that he couldn't remember the last time he'd even won a match on TV, so the expectations weren't high, but he put in a really good performance. He won 2 matches in Show 1 to make it through to Show 2. He then beat Tom Smallwood, but would lose to Chris Vi. It was a very long ladder to climb from his position, but it was great to see him back on TV and that he managed to win 3 matches. But since then, we've not really seen any hints of him making telecasts again. Despite all these struggles in the last 6 or 7 years, we have seen Malott be a very integral part of the Portland Lumberjacks in the PBA League, and he helped them have a lot of success, winning the Elias Cup 3 times. He's one of the most accomplished players in the PBA League, winning it 4 times with 2 MVPs and 7 finals appearances. In 2024, he announced that he would be retiring from the PBA League, and I think this announcement indicates that as a whole, his time on the main tour is coming to an end. It's really unfortunate that injuries have plagued him for so long, because even up to 2019, he was still competitive and making shows. But that injury I mentioned in 2019 seemed to be the catalyst that has sped up his decline. As far as I know, we haven't had an official announcement about retiring from the main tour, but he is now 49, which does mean the 50 tour will soon be available if he is able to remain healthy enough to compete. Despite having struggles in the latter stages of his career, Wes Malott was one of the most dominant players, particularly in the late 2000s, and to be honest, he could have won a lot more if he had remained healthy, and also if he'd had a little bit more luck on TV. But even so, he's had a fantastic career and rightfully has a place in the PBA Hall of Fame after being elected in 2022. And so that brings us to an end of this video. I really enjoyed looking back on Malott's career, a player that I always really enjoyed watching. What I liked about his game is that, you know, it was built around power, but at the same time, there was a sort of an elegance to it, a smoothness to it. And to be honest, he was just an enjoyable player to watch whenever he made the telecast. And that run he had, particularly, you know, in the late 2000s, was exceptional. It was also great to see that he did win 1 major title, which was very well deserved, as he'd had quite a few near misses during his career. If you're enjoying this What Happened To video series, then please do let me know if there's any other players you'd like me to do this sort of video for. If you have enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Well, that's going to do it from me for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.